Oh, Kristen, these are gorgeous. Just gorgeous. I am so happy with the sketches that are being turned in. This is just intense. I love your style. Really good stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at the project. And the one thing I'm noticing here is that the first two, you have Yellowstone and Los Angeles. So these are kind of basically the same concept, being the travel poster. So that's something that's boy, I'm a little bit on the fence with that because technically you should be showing three different ideas. I know in my studio, if in this project I would be looking for three different ideas. So if I was your AD, if this was my studio, I would say, Kristen, these are too close. Let's get a third idea in here because this is fantastic. This is fantastic. And this is the same as the travel poster. So let's really just be true to the project specs and develop a third concept for final presentation on Sunday. As far as the work itself goes, there's a couple of things I think that you're doing really well. Obviously, your sketches are just stellar. You're really showing intent in your sketches, and that's fantastic. And I think that that's great that you've sketched these, rendered these out to the point where you really don't have to describe much because we're basically seeing it. Nonetheless, you do want to give a thorough description, especially in these concepting stages early in a project, so that your art director knows exactly what your intent is moving forward with the project. My recommendation would be does just include a couple of little things in your writing, like talk about the illustration. How does it communicate effectively? How does the illustration relate to your concept in general? And then, of course, the most important thing is what is the reasoning behind your illustration? What is the objective? What are you trying to say with the illustration? Which you've done here, talking about Art Nouveau, etc. And then, of course, does your type support your concept? And I think that's one thing that's really important in any kind of design, is to consider the typography and how that typography and how your conceptual development of the typography supports the objectives of the project. And I'm going to get to that in a second, and you'll see exactly what I mean because I see a problem. As far as the Art Nouveau for Yellowstone, that's fantastic. Really, really good stuff. This is going to be a great poster if you like to go that direction. This, I think, is going to be a little bit difficult to try to get what you're seeing through here and the facial mask and the whole facial expression through digital illustration. It can be definitely done. I mean, absolutely. But a lot of times students are surprised at how something like this would be rendered out in Illustrator. Now, I have a feeling that you're a very well accomplished illustrator, so I think that you're probably aware of things like that. Nonetheless, again, I think this would be fine if you were to elect to go this direction. This is out of control, man. This is just fantastic. I love this the way it is. I would hang this on my wall. I think it's so cool. I would, in one half of a heartbeat, I would say, oh, Kristen, let's go this direction right here. It's intense. And why? Because Yellowstone, how many Yellowstone posters do I have? If I do a Google image search right now for Yellowstone travel posters, we're going to find 10,000 Yellowstone travel posters. Same thing with Los Angeles. We're not going to find another Day of the Dead. Now, we're going to find 10,000 Day of the Dead posters, sure, of course, but this is just really, really intensely interesting. I was talking about type before, and I said I would continue on that in a second. I want to talk about this a little bit. Don't forget the project's requirements. Specification sheet right down here. Specification sheet right down here indicates that you have to use a sans serif and a serif from these lists. Okay, the reason we use these lists is because these are all similar in X height. So any one of these will mix well with any one of these. So that's a good thing for you. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of time in the type type search process. The one thing I do want to say, though, is that you are allowed to use a display or decorative face for your headline, but the only thing is how, you see, you're saying Day of the Dead, and technically in this assignment you have to use, this could all be a headline. Boy, I'm on the fence on this one too. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, okay? Let's do this. I want you to do this. I'm going to let you, if you elect to go this direction, which I kind of strongly suggest you do, just because it's so intensely cool. If you go this direction, I'm going to let you use your hand-rendered type, okay? But I do want some sort of a headline or subhead or some kind of a descriptive paragraph with a headline using sans and maybe a body copy using serif, just so we can stay true to the project specifications by adhering to these type requirements. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, let me know. But I think that this is going to be such a gorgeous piece. And since these are not, I mean, you never mentioned anything about these being typefaces. So I'm guessing you're going to hand render these, which would technically fall under the umbrella of illustration, not typography, kind of. So therefore, I would allow that if those are hand rendered. Okay, don't slip type in here. Don't use typefaces. If you want to draw these out, I'll let you stick with Day of the Dead. If you're going to just use typefaces, we can't do it because and it just won't work. Because the only reason that I really want you to use these typefaces is the fact that they're going to be hand rendered, not just replaced with type. I hope that makes sense. Again, Kristen, if I'm not making sense, let me know. I'll be glad to clarify. But anyways, those would be my recommendations. Intense work. I love the sketches. Love your style. Really good tip of the hat over here to Nouveau over here. This is kind of an interesting combination of styles. Again, I see some Nouveau in here. I also see some Deco attributes and some really interesting things going on. So that's really interesting. And then this piece is just intense. So, all right. Great job. If you have any questions, like I said, I'm sure I said this 3 times already, but I just really want to make it specifically clear. If questions, I'm right here. You won't be waiting for me on an answer. So, so feel free to ask. Ask away. All right. Great job. Thank you.